Hey everyone, WizKidWord here, and in this episode of The Delver, we're going to be talking about the Half-Orc race in Dungeons & Dragons. As usual, I will be reading from the free source book, Basic Rules, which can be found on dndbeyond.com. Feel free to follow along by clicking the link in the description. Little side note as well. I'm starting to realize that if I make each episode just one little section of something of a source book, that I'll probably do about 3 million episodes of The Delver, and I'll probably be dead by then. So, moving forward, after these last two races that I cover, The Delver is going to become a much larger video show, whatever you want to call it, okay? And I will be reading probably a whole chapter of material because once we move on from the basic rules, I do plan on exploring other source books. So, just wanted to let you know that expect longer videos in the future, and I will try my best to timestamp them with the categories, okay? So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Half-Orc. The war chief Huron roused himself from his sleeping furs and his women, and pulled a short hauberk of heavy steel rings over his thick, well-muscled torso. He usually rose before most of his warriors, since he had a strong streak of human blood in him, and he found the daylight less bothersome than most of his tribe did. Among the bloody skulls, a warrior was judged by his strength, his fierceness, and his wits. Human ancestry was no blemish against a warrior, provided he was every bit as strong, enduring, and bloodthirsty as his full-blooded kin. Half-orcs, who were weaker than their orc comrades, didn't last long among the Bloody Skulls, or any other orc tribe for that matter. But it was often true that a bit of human blood gave a warrior just the right mix of cunning, ambition, and self-discipline to go far indeed, as Huron did. He was master of a tribe that could muster 2,000 spears and the strongest chief in Thar. Richard Baker, Sword Mage. Whether united under leadership of a mighty warlock, or having fought to a standstill after years of conflict, orc and human communities sometimes form alliances. When these alliances are sealed by marriages, half-orcs are born. Some half-orcs rise to become proud leaders of orc communities. Some venture into the world to prove their worth. Many of these become adventurers, achieving greatness for their mighty deeds. Scarred and strong. Half-orcs exhibit a blend of orcish and human characteristics, and their appearance varies widely. Grayish skin tones and prominent teeth are the most common shared elements among these folk. Half-orcs stand between 5 and 7 feet tall and usually weigh between 180 and 250 pounds. Orcs regard battle scars as tokens of pride and ornamental scars as things of beauty. Other scars, though, mark an orc or half-orc as a former prisoner or a disgraced exile. Any half-orc who has lived among or near orcs has scars, whether they are marks of humiliation or of pride, recounting their past exploits and injuries. The Mark of Grumsh. The one-eyed god Grumsh, lord of war and fury, created the first orcs, and even those orcs who turn away from his worship carry his blessings of might and endurance. The same is true of half-orcs. Some half-orcs hear the whispers of Grumsh in their dreams, calling them to unleash the rage that simmers within them. Others feel Grumsh's exultation when they join in melee combat, and either exult along with him or shiver with fear and loathing. Beyond the rage of Grumsh, half-orcs feel emotion powerfully. Rage doesn't just quicken their pulse, it makes their bodies burn. An insult stings like acid, and sadness saps their strength. But they laugh loudly and heartily, and simple pleasures, feasting, drinking, wrestling, drumming, and wild dancing, fill their hearts with joy. They tend to be short-tempered and sometimes sullen, more inclined to action than contemplation, and to fighting than arguing. And when their hearts swell with love, they leap to perform acts of great kindness and compassion. Half-orc names. Half-orcs usually have names appropriate to the culture in which they were raised. A half-orc who wants to fit in among humans might trade an orc name for a human name. Some half-orcs with human names decide to adopt a guttural orc name because they think it makes them more intimidating. A few examples of male orc names is Dench, Fang, Gel, Henk, and Kef. Some female orc names would be Emin, Engong, Maev, and Niga. Half-orc traits. Your half-orc character has certain traits deriving from your orc ancestry. Ability score increase. Your strength score increases by 2, and your constitution score increases by 1. Age. Half-orcs mature a little faster than humans, reaching adulthood around age 14. They age noticeably faster and rarely live longer than 75 years. Size. Half-orcs are somewhat larger and bulkier than humans, and they range from 5 to well over 6 feet tall. Your size is medium. Speed. Your base walking speed is 30 feet. Dark vision. Thanks to your orc blood, you have superior vision in dark and dim conditions. You can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. You cannot discern color in darkness, only shades of gray. Menacing. You gain proficiency in the intimidation skill. Relentless endurance. When you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. You can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Savage attacks. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice one additional time and add it to the extra damage of the critical hit. Languages. You can speak, read, and write Common and Orc. Orc is a harsh, grating language with hard consonants. It has no script of its own, but is written in the Dwarvish script. And that covers the section for Half-Orc race in Dungeons & Dragons. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please click the sub and like buttons and leave your comments down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Stay tuned for the next episode of The Delver, where we will be discussing the Tiefling race in Dungeons & Dragons. My name is WizKidWord. You guys take care. Peace.